Let's take a look at some charts on Sushiswap from this week's article on Brave New Coin. So Sushiswap is a fork done by an anonymous team of Uniswap, head dev being Chef Nomi. Chef Nomi had a rug pull moment where he initially ran away with all of the capital, had a come to Jesus moment. They had a seance with him, an intervention. Sam from Alameda, and a few others. I didn't include any of that in the article. Personally, I just don't think it's important. Maybe it is, but I left all of that out. I also kind of left out the nuances between Sushiswap and Uniswap. I also left out what effectively is referred to as a vampire attack, where Sushiswap tried to successfully, might I add, steal liquidity from Uniswap. So all that stuff is happening, and when Uniswap transitions to version 3, Sushiswap will probably just copy that as well. It's crypto, it's open source, it's the wild, wild west. I don't think there's a big problem with it generally. It's better that we have competitors, right? So this is a DEX. Much like any other DEX, you can lend, you can swap. They have farming, they have staking. Their fee structure is a little different than Uniswap. Their tokenomics a little different than Uniswap, but overall fairly similar as far as DEX goes. Now, to me, the biggest thing is, are people using it? Is volume? Are volumes getting bigger? Are they stealing market share from other people? How is this working out in the survival of the fittest, right? So Sushi is the purple bar here. They've clearly got an insane amount of volume over the past few months, just growing. Uniswap being the pink here, just obviously dominating everything historically. But when we look at market share, we can see Sushiswap has grown pretty significantly from where it was, and Uniswap declining slightly, but overall Uniswap holds most of it, followed by Sushi. So the market dynamics are telling me that despite being basically one and the same of Uniswap, people are still using Sushiswap, probably for the tokenomics aspect, the staking aspect. There's some incentive there that's bringing people to Sushiswap. There isn't a big enough of a moat on Uniswap to hold people there. So Sushiswap's volume is growing. Man, that's hard to say. If we're looking at the actual exchange, it's a bit jovial. They have some names. It's classic Ethereum people. Not that it's not professional or whatever. It's just, the way ETH kind of is kind of hunky-dory, rainbows and unicorns type stuff. But you can see all the ROI and liquidity and the farming and all that stuff. If we look at the total value locked, again, I don't know if this is just BTC, ETH, and DAI. I assume it is. So their numbers are probably slightly bigger because they have a bunch of pairs on Sushiswap as they do with Uniswap. Nonetheless, the stuff that is measured is continually increasing, rapidly increasing, approaching 3 billion USD. That is nothing to sneeze at, certainly. And like I mentioned in the Uniswap article and video, if I'm a centralized exchange and I see volumes like this picking up just hand over fist, with ETH fees being what they are, just outrageous right now, right? Again, the market dynamics are telling me people don't care about the fees. They care about access, ease of use, non-custodial, maybe all that stuff together. Maybe some regulatory capture stuff, because you can list, on Uniswap specifically, you can list essentially anything very quickly. Sushiswap's a little more guarded and community-oriented and driven as far as the listings are concerned. But it's definitely, you don't have to go through a bunch of lawyers to get your token listed, right? And that's both good and bad. So if we look at the on-chain activity for Sushi, the token, this was the initial token distribution. Over time, this has slowly ticked up. In general, everything is slightly less by a magnitude than Uniswap as far as transactions, as far as average transaction values. It's very much the cousin or the little brother of Uniswap still as far as on-chain metrics are concerned. Nevertheless, transactions rising, mean transaction values rising, that's a function of token value itself, but always good to see both rising like that. NVT has been kind of flat and down, which in general in a vacuum is bullish, but because of how the staking for Sushi works, I'm guessing that the data is affected by that. So looking at this, it isn't really convincing. You'd have to toss the staking data and just look at economic activity, however you want to consider that. So NVT kind of a useless metric for most things, but it's especially for staking stuff because it's gonna show NVT super low. I mean, this is a super low NVT for anything, right? But because there's so much on-chain churn of the staking stuff, it's going to just remain low. So, as long as you're aware of that caveat, then it's okay to use it, but I wouldn't compare this to any other coin. Active addresses are definitely rising. Again, this was token distribution, and active addresses holding above 2K. In the green here, it's kind of hard to see, but they have been rising definitely over the past few months. If we look at Sushi USD technicals, this is the 4-hour on Binance. Not a ton of trading history, but what we do have is pretty obvious. Much like Aave, it's kind of flipped the switch, right? Late last year, everything sold off. If you've got an airdrop, this is typical behavior. People collect the airdrop immediately, sell it immediately. More and more people do that. Eventually, market reaches an equilibrium where people who have sold their airdrop are out. People who want to buy are buying more than what's being sold, and off to the races it goes if this is a legitimate service or token, or if there's speculative value here. Now, I'm not bullish on governance tokens in general. I don't really understand them. I don't even think Sushi has governance online yet as far as what exactly they're going to be doing with it, but there is staking. The tokenomics are probably more favorable than Uniswap to some people. So that's probably why the technicals have been so strong since late last year. Yearly pivots, 50-200 period, EMA, VPVR volume, RSI. So no bear div on RSI. As far as the yearly pivots are concerned, which you can't really use because you didn't have a full year's trading history in the previous year, but I'm going to use them anyway, showing resistance at 17 and 33 on the way up. But the way this trend looks, it's just textbook, right? You're getting touches of the 200 several times. It's riding the 50. It's just up, 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 up. Not a lot of volume up here as far as what's been going on lately. So, some of this stuff, pretty much all the DeFi tokens look the same. You have just this continuous multi-month bull trend with not a lot of volume at the top. So this could easily just, roll over. Right, this could flash crash like $3, as people who have bought since 3 will take profit. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that's always a risk when there isn't a lot of trading activity on the top end. You can have support at $7.50, $9.50, $10 based on those EMAs as well. Looking at the cloud, I mean, it's just textbook, exactly what you want to see. You're getting Kumo breakouts, you're getting TK cross recrosses over and over and over, just telling you to stay long, go long, stay long, go long, stay long, go long. It's not parabolic, it's just smooth and flat at times, consolidating sometimes. I think you get what I mean, but it's not this like crazy run up, spike down. It's just a very obvious buy and hold on the 4-hour. And lastly, on 4-hour, Sushi BTC, all the same stuff, Cloud 200, yearly pivots, VPVR, volume RSI. No bear div here either. This is actually the monthly pivots. So I like 5,000 sats as the next move up. I like support above 2,500 sats to 3,000 sats as far as Cloud, Kijun, pivot. But this looks very similar to the USD pair, just telling you be long, stay long, go long, re-long, that sort of thing. So everything looks on the up and up for Sushi. People are obviously using DEXs. DEXs are having a bit of a moment. Despite being a fork of Uniswap, Sushi is attempting to find its own identity, I guess. Technicals on the USD pairs look favorable. Technicals on the BTC pairs look favorable. So it's hard not to be bullish on anything that looks like Sushi does.